What's going on, y'all? My name is Davon Clark. I'm a real estate agent, and I'm here to break down the rental market in the Atlanta, Georgia area, or the metropolitan area of Atlanta, Georgia, and also the state of Georgia. So most people don't know that rent prices have increased. I'm pretty sure if you're coming from a different state into Georgia, you see it in your state that it's increased, and also people that live in Georgia, they see it as well as far as the rental increase. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna break down the rental qualifications in the state of Georgia. We're gonna break down how much is the average rent in Georgia. I have my little list right here, y'all. We're also going to break down the price increase from even 2021 to from 2020 to 2022 or 2017. We're also going to say how much you would need to actually qualify to rent nowadays in the state of Georgia, particularly in the area of Atlanta or the metropolitan area or anything within that 40 minutes to an hour into Atlanta. So you guys can kind of see what is the average rental cost. Again, this is the average, means that they took different totals and then they averaged it together. So you might sometimes find rentals that are lower, you might find rentals that are higher. So this is the average amount that it costs to rent nowadays in the Atlanta, Georgia area, in the metropolitan area of Atlanta, Georgia. So let's jump right into it. My name again is Davon Clark. I'm a real estate agent. I'm here helping you find your dream home or maybe get you into your temporary home. And if you need somebody to help you buy, sell, lease, or rent, I got you. Just hit me up below. You can find my email address. Send me an email. I will definitely get back to you. All right, so here we go. Let's talk about the rental qualifications when it comes to the Atlanta, Georgia area. So for the qualifications, you need to have, it's 3 times your monthly income. So we'll dig into that a little bit more so you guys can understand that 3 times your monthly income. You need to have a credit score of at least 600 plus. However, this does vary. So let me talk a little bit about how that varies after I go through the rest of these qualifications. You need no evictions within the last 2 years or any filings of evictions. Some also look at repos within the last 2 years and bankruptcies. So you don't want to have none of that on your credit report. And some also want you to sign 2-year leases now. So not every place, you do still get places that do 12-month leases. You get maybe 18-month leases. You might get a 13-month lease, etc. like that. However, some places do want you to sign a 24-year lease. So let's dig into the 3 times the monthly income. So 3 times the monthly income means that if you're looking for a place that costs $1,300 a month, that means you need to make at least $3,900 a month in order to qualify to get into that apartment. All right. So you want to take whatever that rent amount is. So if you go online, say if you go to Zillow or if you reach out to a realtor and they put and they ask you how much are you looking to spend when it comes rent wise, this is how you factor out how much you can actually afford. You can either take, say, $1,300, right? And you can actually divide $1,300 by 3 and you can get how much, if that's how much you say, if $1,300 was how much you made a month, you can take the $1,300 divided by 3, and then that can show you how much you qualify to pay a month for the rental. Or if you're looking for an apartment that is $1,300 a month, you can then take the $1,300 a month amount and you can times it by 3, and that will tell you how much you qualify when it comes to how much you need to make a month. So you can either do the $1,300. So let's do it. I'm gonna do it for you guys real quick on my little calculator here on my phone. So what we'll do is we'll take the $1,300, right? And let's say this is how much you make monthly, right? You make $1,300 a month, and this is your income for the month. So you would then take $1,300 divided by 3, and then that means technically that you could only afford a place at the amount of $433.33. So that means you will want to find stuff lower than that in order for you to qualify for a place to rent. However, unfortunately, nowadays you will not find anything that low to rent. So say if you are looking for something at $1,300 a month, you're like, okay, I think I can do $1,300 a month. And then you want to see how much you would need to make monthly in order to qualify for a $1,300 a month apartment. You would do $1,300, you would times it by 3. And so you would have to make monthly $3,900 in order to qualify for a $1,300 a month apartment. However, we're going to dig deeper into what is the average rate for a rental apartment down here in this Atlanta, Georgia area and this metropolitan area. So you guys are going to be very surprised if you don't already know. So, and this is in 2022. So if anybody is going back to see this later on, prices probably increased by now, or maybe somewhere, somehow they might have declined. So I don't know, but this is just what is current in 2022. So that's the 3 times the monthly income situation. If you need more advice on that or need more information on that, just hit me up below. Like I said, my email is below. You can just send me an email and we can talk more about that. Credit score. So let's get into credit score. So credit score, a lot of places want you to have at least a 600 plus. However, it does vary again, right? I've done some deals where people want, as far as rentals, where people want people to have at least 620 plus. They might want a 640 plus. I've even dealt with a realtor that wanted the person to have a 690 plus. So then you also deal with some places that don't mind a lower credit score. You might find places that want a 580 credit score, or you might be able to do 500 or 550. It depends. But with those particular management companies, what they want you to do is that they would probably dig in deeper into your make sure you have no evictions, no eviction filings. They don't want you to have no repos. They don't want you to have no bankruptcy. So they'll actually dig more into your credit history to try to figure out what's going on there and why your credit score is within those that particular range. And so that's when it comes to the credit score. If you guys need more information about that, again, email me. My email is below and we can dig deeper into that. But you can still get into some places in Atlanta with a not so great credit score. So don't get scared when it comes to credit score. I always tell people, focus on the 3 times the monthly income, because the credit score situation with some management companies or rental companies, they will allow that to happen as long as you meet those other qualifications and as long as you pay probably an extra deposit on the rent or give them a cosigner. So really dig into the 3 times the monthly income part. All right, so let's get into how much is the average rent in Atlanta. And I'm gonna read it right here from my computer so you guys can know. I'm reading it's off of the website called rentcafe.com. Rentcafe.com is actually a website that is used for, I believe it's used around in a lot of places when it comes to the rental market. They actually are a website where you can go and pay your rental fees at. So they kind of like a software, and they're taking data from different markets and different things, because they actually are, they see it because they actually set up the system for people to pay their rent through. So this is actual real data. All right, so let's get into it. It says what is the average rent in Atlanta? So it says the average rent for an apartment in Atlanta is $1,861. The cost of rent varies depending on several factors, including location, size, and quality. So remember, everything is subjective. Things do vary. So what they're saying right now is that the average rent is $1,861 a month in Atlanta, and the square footage for something at that price is 971 square feet. It says, what is the average apartment size in Atlanta? The average size for an Atlanta, Georgia apartment is 971 square feet, but this number varies greatly depending on the unit type. So we'll dig deeper into that, because again, I want you guys to understand how much it costs to live in Atlanta nowadays. So let's go to average rent in Atlanta, Georgia by the neighborhood. So these are neighborhoods within the Atlanta, Georgia area. So they've broken it down to different neighborhoods. So I get clients that reach out to me and they say they want to be in certain neighborhoods. So they just broke it down to a few neighborhoods, not every neighborhood in Atlanta, but let's just read some of these neighborhoods. So it says Buckhead Heights, the average rent is $2,477. Excuse me. Lenox is the average is $2,477 as well. Atlantic Station, the average is $2,395. Ainsley Park, the average is $2,394. They got Ardmore, it is $2,394. So Ardmore, Brookwood Hills, Collard Hills North, and Colonial and Piedmont Park and Sherwood Forest, they're all $2,394. So that's the average rent, and those are places that are located in the Georgia city, quote unquote, area. So like Midtown, Lenox, Buckhead. These are the average rates as of right now. Again, it fluctuates, right? You could have rents that are lower, you could have rents that are higher. This is the average rent, and they're not actually talking about how many bedrooms this average rent is, but it's saying that's how much the average rent is. So let's see right here. It says, what are the most affordable neighborhoods in Atlanta? And so again, hold on real quick, let me let you guys know. This was last updated July 2022. So we are now about to go into 2023. So the rent is going to increase again next year. So I'm pretty sure a lot of people probably, if you're living currently in Atlanta, or you're moving to Atlanta, and you're moving out of an apartment where you're from and you're coming down here, we all know that every year people increase their rent. And if you guys don't know, Georgia is one out of, I believe, 22 states that does not do rent control. So what they do is they base the rent on the market. So if a complex up the street decides that they want to raise their rent to $2,000 a month for a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, then other complexes in the area can do the same, and it's considered the market value of the what the apartment and the unit is, and regardless to the square footage. So I just want to let you guys know it's interesting stuff when it comes to renting nowadays, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys know this, but I just want to break it down because I get a lot of clients nowadays that reach out to me because most people are in situations where they can't afford to buy right now, right? Because maybe the credit score is not the best right now, it's not that healthy, or maybe because they don't have the savings or different things, so they can't afford to buy, so they go into a rental, trying to rent for at least a year or two in order to kind of build that credit up and also build those savings up to be able to step into a home. However, I want to let you guys know that renting, even though it should be easier, it is getting harder and harder to rent in the Atlanta, Georgia area. So let's go a little bit into what are the most affordable areas, neighborhoods in Atlanta. They said the most affordable neighborhoods in Atlanta are Atlanta University Center, where the average rent goes from $1,131 a month, in Dixie Hills, where renters pay, they said on average $1,131, and also Hunter Hills, where the rent is the same price range. And then you can also say, if you're looking for other great deals, check out the listings from a website called Just Us that has that particular same rental price range. You got Mosley Park and Penelope Neighbors and all those particular areas. So those are some affordable areas if you're looking to find something a little bit more reasonable. What are the most expensive neighborhoods in Atlanta? They are, of course, Atlantic Station and Buckhead Heights and Lenox. So those are the most expensive areas. We read those earlier as far as how much it goes to pay the average rent in those places. All right, so let's kind of go down a little bit more, and let's go into how Atlanta compares to other cities when it comes to the rental average rent. So Atlanta average rent is $1,861. Marietta's rent is $1,649. You have Columbus, Georgia, $1,078. You have Douglasville at $1,518. You have Augusta at $1,129. You have Lawrenceville at $1,665. You have Stone Mountain at $1,348. You have Lithonia at $1,476. You have Macon at $1,095, so $1,095. You have Decatur at $1,545. You have Jonesboro at $1,349. You have McDonough at $1,695. You have Kennesaw at $1,941. You have Riverdale at $1,319. You have Duluth at $1,804. You have Stockbridge at $1,695. You have Sandy Springs at $1,845, so that means $1,845. If you guys, I know I'm kind of going fast, but I don't want to prolong the amounts. You have Norcross at $1,468, and you have Smyrna at $1,703. You have Alpharetta at $2,083, and you have Austell at $1,427. So those are the average rent prices in these areas. And these areas, you have the Atlanta area, which is Atlanta downtown. You have the Midtown area. You have all these areas that make up Atlanta, and they're saying that the average cost to live within the Atlanta sector is about $1,861. And then as you go around the city of Atlanta, so most people that are from Georgia or not from Georgia, well, most people that are from Georgia understand the makeup of how Georgia works as far as Atlanta. And then people that are not from Georgia, they're parts like Marietta, parts like Smyrna, parts like Kennesaw, parts like Stone Mountain, Lawrenceville, all these places. These are like the outskirts, and these are Decatur and all these things. These are like Decatur, Smyrna, sections like that are like kind of metropolitan areas of the Atlanta part. So it's more like, I would say, I don't want to say suburbs, but it's not actually Atlanta itself. So that's how that kind of works. All right, so let's get into, after we talk about the average price, let's actually talk about the price increase. So I'm going to read an article, and this article is from atlantaregional.org. And it's basically talking about the price increase, the price hikes as far as rentals in 2022. So it says rental price hikes in 2022 were dramatic. Rents are raising sharply in the metropolitan Atlanta area, like many parts of the country. Consider the city of Atlanta, where the average monthly rent for a one-bedroom apartment has risen by a whopping 31% in the past 5 years, from $1,308, so $1,308 to $1,710 according to Zomper, which is another website that analyzes data. They said the annual rate of increase is accelerating. In the past year, rent for a one-bedroom apartment in the city of Atlanta increased by 16% compared to closer to an average annual increase of about around 4% from the previous 6 years. It says, so just kind of dig into that a little bit, y'all. Like, rent prices are increasing. And it's not only in Atlanta, of course, it's everywhere. But as you guys know, as people keep flocking into cities and areas, what happens is that with that migration, things keep going up because it makes a place where everybody wants to be, right? So the more people that come, the more prices go up. So let's get into this article a little bit further about a local resident named Sean. So it says, for Atlanta residents like Sean, rising rents diminish his ability to save for the future. Sean, who lives in an apartment building near Midtown Atlanta, was paying $1,170 monthly for his one-bedroom apartment in 2020. In 2021, his rent went up $1,468, and this year, in 2022, the new lease is priced at $1,656, a nearly $500 increase in just 2 years. So in 2 years, you guys, the rent in Atlanta and the Atlanta city area, the Midtown section, the downtown Atlanta, all those areas have increased at least $500. And that's just not even in the Atlanta city area. That's even happened in the metropolitan areas like Smyrna, like the Buckhead area, like Decatur. Like, rent has increased. And again, because like I told you guys, Georgia doesn't have a rent control situation. So what happens is that everything is fair market value. So they increase. If a house down the street is renting, say if you want to rent a house and not an apartment, if a house down the street is renting for $2,000, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, then another house up the street that's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath can price it at the same amount. So that's how they kind of play down here in the rental market when it comes to Georgia. So let's kind of dig in a little bit into how much you would need to make in order to qualify to get into a rental. So we're going to finish off with this, see how much you guys need to make. And then again, if you have any questions, any advice, again, my email will be below. You can email me at any time. I will get back to you. I am a realtor that will get back to you. So nonetheless, let's see. So I'm going to take, for example, say if you made $30,000 a year, or a little under $30,000. I did a little math here myself already. It says $30,000. So you would take $30,000 that you make a year, divided by 12, because there's of course 12 months in a year, and you would come out to make at least making $2,500 a month, right? That's before taxes. That's not with taxes taken out. So you do your own math and in accordance to your taxes. But that would be like $2,500. That would be the gross and not the net. And so you would then take the $2,500, you would then divide it by 3, because again, remember, it's 3 times the monthly income. So your monthly income is $2,500 a month. You would divide it by 3. That would say that you would qualify for an apartment that is at least $833 a month. Again, things do change. You might find somebody, a friend of somebody, or somebody you might know. They might say, hey, I actually just bought a property. There's no mortgage on the property, so I'm able to rent at a lower cost than other people because the only thing I have to make payments on is taxes or anything that might break inside the house. So they might be able to price lower as far as the rent. So you might get lucky, and you might find something that may be $800 a month. Again, is it harder nowadays in 2022? It is a little harder, but I'm going to say nothing's impossible. But if you guys heard me from earlier, I broke down how much the average rent is to live in Atlanta and the metropolitan areas around Atlanta. So it kind of would be very, very tough to find that $800 range mark nowadays. So let's kind of get into an example of if you made $36,000 a year. So I have $36,000. Again, you take that's a yearly income divided by 12. You get your monthly income, which would be $3,000 a month, and that means that you can afford a place for at least $1,000 a month. However, again, as we read the average rent in these areas, you would be kind of teetering to see where you could stay. So you might be able to stay in Columbus because Columbus is $1,078. You might be able to stay in Macon, which is $1,095, but these locations are kind of further away from Georgia, or well, not Georgia, the Atlanta area in Georgia. So the Macon, the Columbus might be like 2 hours, an hour and a half. It depends on what part of the city you want to get into, but mainly it's going to be about 2 hours. 2 hours, 2.5 hours. So just to take a little thought when it comes to that. And so basically the average person in Atlanta will have to make at least $68,000 a year in order to qualify for the average rent mark, which is $1,861. If you made $68,000 a year, you would then divide $68,000 by the 12. You would then end up getting the amount that's needed. Let me make sure I have it correctly for you guys, so you guys know how much you would need for. So $68,000 divided by 12, you would then make monthly, according to my calculations, $5,666.67. And then you would then take that and you would divide that by 3 again. So that means that it would be at least $1,888 that would be 3 times the rent or whatever. And so that means that you would qualify, according to the average rent in Atlanta, which is $1,861, means you would qualify to rent an apartment in Atlanta. So I just want to kind of break that down for you guys so you can kind of get a gist of how much you would need to kind of make to live in Atlanta. What I tell a lot of my clients is, if you have roommates, if you have family members, if you have anybody that's willing to go in with you as far as to rent a place when you're moving to Atlanta or in the metropolitan area of Atlanta, you should definitely go in and see if that works, and make sure you guys add up all your income to see if what you qualify for before you go looking. So then that way, when you're in the rental process, you won't feel defeated when if you were to get rejected because you don't meet those qualifications. So I always say, look at the income. If you're doing, if you're going to be with roommates, if you're going to be with family or whatever, just add everything up. Make sure everybody is being honest with their income. Make sure and see how much you make a month, and then do the calculations. Like I said, you can either see how much you make a month divided by 3, or you can see what you want to pay monthly on the apartment and then times that by 3 to see how much you would need to make a month. So hopefully that helped. Again, if you need any more advice or information, hit my email below. I definitely will get back to you. And yeah, so this is all I have to say right now in regards to the rental market in Atlanta, Georgia. I hope this helped you. And if you are coming to Atlanta, congratulations. And if you are in Atlanta already making it, congratulations. And hopefully I will see you soon within the city area. All right, take care. Bye-bye.